My name is Rachel Davison Humphries, and I'm your host on this third week of February. Maybe the snowiest February I've had in a while. But so on this third week of February, we are continuing our celebration of Black History Month, but also taking a look at presidents and heroic action. BRI has a lot of events still planned and continuing to honor Black Americans and their contribution to American culture and values and history. And we're also taking a look this week at presidents, because as you know, throughout the month of February, we have quite a few kind of presidential milestones. On the 22nd of February is George Washington's birthday. On the 12th of February is Lincoln's birthday. So that means that on the third Monday of February since 1968, many states in the United States celebrate President's Day. And that got me thinking about the presidency. And I was thinking about our episode last week about Frederick Douglass and what it means to be a hero and have a hero. We have the ongoing impeachment of a president as in the news, and we have a new president who was part of a very an administration that was very heroic in the eyes of many Americans. So I want to talk about kind of all those things and wrap it up with a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. about what our responsibility is and how I think it's kind of being our own hero. But first, I want to start by letting you know about some of the great resources we have for President's Day. The biggest thing is that we have redesigned our 2010 curriculum, Presidents of the Constitution, which has 35 different lessons on different presidents that look at how important controversies have shaped executive power. And so that is a great resource to think about all different presidential controversies, elections, other impeachments, presidential power, the executive branch as a branch and how it interacts with the other branches. We also have scholar talks. We had a great set of scholar talks last week on presidential power playlists, eLessons, and then again, all of our impeachment resources are still available on our websites. So I wanted to think, like I said, a little bit about presidents as heroes. I've been, we're getting distance from the events of January 6th, and as we're entering this new administration and kind of reframing what we think about the presidency as a nation, I started and thinking back about my discussion of Douglass, who was a personal hero. I started thinking about heroes and the president as a hero, and what the risks and rewards are in considering the president as a hero. We all have different kinds of heroes, right? We have our personal heroes, our professional heroes, they're popular heroes, historical, literary. And I think one of the things that's happened in recent years is that we've come to more fully recognize that in order for someone to be heroic to you, they are not necessarily a perfect person to emulate, but you can honor and admire aspects of their action, if not other aspects of their action. But that's tense, and there's a lot to that. And so how do we choose our heroes? How do we think about heroes? Well, BRI also has a curriculum on that. It's called Heroes and Villains, Quest for Civic Virtue. It's a great resource that looks at virtuous action and what makes a hero. But I'm still struggling with this idea that a president is a hero. A president is someone whose life should be emulated. And I was thinking about just the word president, and the etymology of the word president dates back to the 14th century. So it's actually, the word has been around a while, and the word was just meant appointed governor of a province or chosen leader of a body of persons. But it was first used for chief executive office in a republic in 1787 and officer in charge of the Constitutional Congress in 1774. But it actually comes from the word preside, which in turn comes from the Latin praesidentium. If you are a Latin teacher, please correct my pronunciation. Praesidentum, I think, which means to stand guard or to sit in front of. So a president stands guard over the Constitution, stands guard over our republic. And the other concept is to sit in front of, which is to be one among us, but with attention directed towards them. So thinking about heroes and linking it to the word president, I actually was thinking that heroes in our lives serve a kind of presiding role over our choices, in that they provide models and act as spectators that accompany our decision making. So heroes come with us when we are in tense or difficult or controversial situations, and provide models for us to emulate. And I wonder what your thoughts are about presidents as heroes, and about the idea of public figures as heroes in your life, and how you think about the nature of heroism in American culture. Uh, I think that there's ways in which our popular heroes, those people we admire culturally, will always shift with the times and the context in which we're living, and that's important. And then I also think about, I grew up, or I went to a college that had a classics program, so I think a lot about historical heroes. Odysseus, who was a very flawed character, or Alexander, who was a very flawed character. And so how do we choose our heroes? How do we help our students choose our heroes? Is something I'm working on this week. I'm probably going to be forever working on. And then the other question becomes, how do we become our own hero? And I want to circle back, because this is Black History Month, and introduce you to a resource that I really, really love. If you haven't ever picked up the version "A Time to Break Silence: the essential work of Martin Luther King Jr. for students," this is a really great collection of Martin Luther King's works that's written for the high school student. And it has reflection questions at the end. It has a really great selection of essays that are slightly edited to be slightly shorter, some of them. And so I highly recommend it. But there's this paragraph that I've just been thinking about when I think about heroism, and what we should, like, how we need to think about our action in this moment and every moment. And in his essay Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, Martin Luther King Jr. says, "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. Procrastination is still the thief of time. Life often leaves us standing bare, naked, and dejected with a lost opportunity. The tide in the affairs of men does not remain at the flood, it ebbs. We may cry out desperately for time to pause in her passion, but time is deaf to every plea and rushes on. Over the bleach bones and jumbled residue of numerous civilizations are written the pathetic words too late. There is an invisible hook of life that faithfully records our vigilance or our neglect. The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on." So, as we think about the nature of our republic, and the presidents that preside over it, and the heroes that we hold up in this time and place, there's an urgency to our work. And so I'm very grateful that you're doing the work you're doing, and that you join us as we do the work we do. And I look forward to seeing you next week, maybe with a lighter, but I think that wasn't too heavy of a topic. It's just, there's a lot going on right now. So please join us next week for This Week's in Civics with the Bill of Rights Institute. I'm Rachel Davison Humphries, and I will see you then. Thank you.